no, I'm not getting back to that. Don't worry. That's right. Keep you on your toes. All right, let me tell you a couple things about this new unit. It is brand new. We're going to jump where I told you guys yesterday, we're jumping right into brand new stuff. The math behind it, not too bad though. Here's the part I'm worried about though with some of you. You're going to get way too frustrated and give up. You can't. Right? Do not give up on me. You guys know I'll work with you to whenever, but you cannot give up. Do not get frustrated. All right. You won't get frustrated at the beginning, maybe the end of today, but you'll get frustrated eventually, and you cannot give up. And what I mean by frustration is 3 equation, 3 variable frustration. All right. When you can't get that whole number out at the end. All right. That type of frustration for this unit. All right. It's called a matrices. What's a matrix? It's rows and columns of numbers filled in with a bracket. All right. I don't know if you've ever seen one of them before, but that's what a matrix looks like. You got rows and columns of numbers. All right. Included in a bracket. And that's exactly what I'm going to have you guys set up first. Is I have 3 equations here. You're not going to have to solve them. All right. Calm it down. You're not going to have to solve them. But I want you to write these 3 as a matrix now. All right. And it's very easy to do this. Very easy. All right. So let's start out. You got your bracket. In the first row are the coefficients in front of the variables. So my first row is going to have 2, 1, 2. Everyone see where I got those from? First row, first equation. Second row, you want to take over? 3, -5, -1, and 4. Boom. And the third row. 1, -2, -3, and -6. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do now is the numbers where it's equal to, you separate that from the other matrix with the vertical line. All right, you separate that from the rest of the matrix with the vertical line, what it's equal to. Welcome to your first matrix. All good? Yeah, how about B? What? What do you want? We're going to do stuff with it, but just setting it up, yeah. That's just set up. Calm it down. You got to crawl before you walk. All right? First one, first row, 5, -2, -3, and if you want to put the vertical line in now, you can. Now, see how it's a 0? You still have to put 0 in there. You can't just leave it blank. All numbers are filled in, 0. Next one, 1, 1. What do you think I'm going to put now? 0. There is no Z. 0, 5. And then what do you got for me on the last row? 2.
0. -3. 4.
It's not bad. Setting it up, right? Bring into this easy. All good? All right, not bad. Nice job. What do we got next? Okay, now you write the system of equations. Now, go backwards. I gave you the matrix, you give me the system. And then use X, Y, Z as variables. What do you got for the first equation? 5x plus 3z equals -11. Second equation. Y minus 4z equals 12. And the third equation. 7x plus 2y equals 4. All right. I don't know if you've started to see, but we're going to use these matrices to solve these now. Instead of multiplying these by certain numbers, crossing out, we're going to use these now to solve them. All right, we good on? We're all right so far, because now it's going to take a little turn. What are you allowed to do with all these? What am I going to allow you to do? Three things. Ready? Three things you can do with the matrix. First one, you can interchange rows. You could flip row 1 and row 2. You could flip row 1 and row 3. Notice what I'm saying though. Rows you can flip. You cannot flip columns. And I'm being serious here. We okay on a row versus a column. All right? So the first thing you guys can do is you can flip-flop rows. You can change the row's position. Second thing, you can multiply any row by a non-zero number. Good so far. So you can multiply any row by a number that's not zero. And here's the third and probably the toughest thing it's going to be for you guys. Ready for this one? You can multiply a row by a number and add it to another row. All right, that's going to get pretty hardcore here in a second. So you can flip-flop rows. You can multiply one row by a number, or you can multiply a row by a number and add it to another row. And that's it. Those are the only three things you're allowed. All right, only three things. Ready to go and try it out. Here we go. Digging deep. First one. Perform each row operation. 1/2 R1. What do you think I'm asking for here? What do you think I'm asking for? Multiply what? Row 1, entire row 1 by 1/2. And rewrite the new matrix for me. Which row are you only touching? Row 1. Hey, guys. Hey, 2 and 3, not going to change. Same numbers are going to be in there. All right, so here you go. I'm just going to do a little arrow here with a new matrix. All right, tell me my new row 1 now if I'm going to multiply by 1/2. Maddie, ice. X. Jesus. X. When do we put variables inside there? Why are you so rattled already? Too much movies. That's why. I do too much movies in here. 1/2 times 2 is just what, Matt? Yeah. So put a darn 1 there. No variables inside, right? No variables. Come on. Now redeem yourself. Finish. There you go. That's all you're touching. Nothing else. 1, 5. I should have made this bigger. 0. And then 3, 0, 4, 7. All right, that's it. Next one, part B. What do you think it's asking me to do? Flip them. Take row 1 and flip it with row 2. On the original one. On the original one. Yep, on the original one. So that's all I want you to do. Flip row 1 with row 2. So 1, 5, -5, 0. 2, -6, 4, 10. And third row not touching. All good, because now it's gonna get a little nuts, and hopefully I don't lose some of you. And I apologize to the rest of you if I go too slow. Next one. What's it asking me to do in the next one? Multiply row 1 by -3, then add it to row 2. But whoa, what are we doing here? I got a question right off the bat. Which row am I going to replace? All right, I'm multiplying row 1 by -3, then adding it to row 2. Which row do I replace? You always replace the row you're adding on to. Okay, so in this case, we are replacing row 2. You always replace the row that's being added. All right, so we are not touching row 1 or row 3, everybody. Row 2 is the only one that's going to have new numbers in it. And I'm going to go slow here. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite 1, -3, 2, 0. That row stays the same, so does row 3. 2, -2, 1, 3. You ready for the new row 2? All right, Everyone take your time. Ready? Negative 3 times 1. Negative 3 plus 3. Okay, hey, everyone all right? Why the zeros going in there? Negative 3 times 1 plus row 2's 3 there. So that's a 0. Let's keep going. Negative 3 times negative 3. 9 plus 1. 10. Everyone all right here? 2 times negative 3. Negative 6 plus negative 1. Negative 7. And finally, 7 times negative 3. Negative 21 plus 0. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I did it wrong. Sorry. Negative 3 times 0. Sorry. 0 plus 7. Okay, so that's going to stay 7. I don't know. Maybe you're starting to get frustrated now. Not too sure. We okay? Trent, how's this look? You okay? All right, I'm good then. Everyone else all right? All right. Wow, look at that next one. First one says take negative 2, multiply it by R1, and add, what is that, 2 to you guys or 3? 3. All right, so what row am I replacing here? With this rule, what am I replacing? Which row? 3. I'm replacing row 3 with this rule. And then over here with this rule, what row would I be replacing? 4. So 3 and 4 are getting replaced. What's not getting replaced? 1 and 2. So I might as well just rewrite that now. 1 and 2 aren't getting touched. All right, here we go. I'll go slow again. Let's replace row 3. Ready? Negative 2 times row 1. Negative 2 plus 2. All right, I'm plugging a 0 in here, everybody. Plugging a 0 in. Next one. Negative 2 times negative 1. 2. 2 plus 0. 2. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 plus 3. 1. Almost done here. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2 plus 4. 2. And then finally, negative 2 times 3. Negative 6 plus 11. Should I allow you to go on to that last row by yourself so you can try one out on your own right now? Okay, go ahead. I'm not going to say a word. I'll give you 45 seconds here to fill in the new row 4. It's just taking your time, paying attention to detail. Don't get frustrated on me yet. All right, new row 4. What do you got first? 0. 6. Negative 3. You okay? Because that's not even the toughest part. Now, how we're going to finish this up today, I'll give you 2 matrices. What was the rule? You got to make up your own rule. Okay, that's where we're going to be this entire unit, is you making up the own rule so I can start getting certain numbers here. Anything you want to ask? You want to take a breather, stretch out? You good? Abe, you all right? Okay, how's the nose? All right? All good? All healed? Okay, man, I'm watching out for my students. You know? All right, guys, here we go. There's my original matrix right here. Now I'm going to this one. Write a rule for me. First off, what is the big difference here? Look like the first one stayed the same, right? And then notice the 2 turned into a what? 0. The 3 turned into a 5. And then in the third row, the 3 turned into a 0 and the -2 turned into a 1. So I need to remember the 3 things you're allowed to do. Interchange, multiply one row, or multiply and add it. All right? What's that?
You said you can multiply and add it.
Yep.
I mean, you can't add alone. You have to multiply and then
Add alone, like add 2 rows?
Yeah.
You could, that's like multiplying one row by 1 and then adding it to another. So yeah, that's fine. All right. Let me blow this bad boy up first. If you want to start thinking about maybe what could I do? Okay, here we go. Let's start with row 2 first. Let's start with row 2. How do I make a 2 go to the 0 with the same rule, a 3 go to a 5? You can interchange, you can multiply a row and add. Okay, how do I make a 2 turn into the 0? I gotta add a -2 to it. How do I get a -2 out of the rows that are left here? Nick, name that row? Okay, so he's saying take row 1, go ahead, Nick, and multiply it by -2 and then add it to row 2. Everyone see that? Hey, let's see if it works on both. Ready? Well, it definitely works in turning the 2 to the 0. Does it turn a 3 into a 5? Let's find out. Ready? -1 times -2. 2 plus 3. 5. He's got it. All right, found the rule. Now fill in the rest of row 2. Now fill in the rest of row 2. So -2 plus -1. What's your next number? -3. And then let's see, -16 plus -2. What's your last one there? Yep. Everyone all right? -18. All right. How do I make a 3 go to a 0? -2 go to a 1. And you're going to start seeing it's probably the same thing I do almost every single time. How do I make a 3 go to a 0? I got to add what to it? I got to add -3 to it. Where do I get a -3 from in the remaining rows here? So what do I do with a row 1? So -3 times row 1, then add it to row 3, which I'm going to replace. I don't know. Hold on. Does that make this -2 go to a 1? I got to check that too. Ready? -1 times -3. 3 plus -2. Okay, we're good. Fill in the rest of the row. So negative 3 times 1 is negative 3 plus negative 9. What do you got here? Negative 12. And then the last one, what do we got? Negative 24 plus 9. Negative 15. Thank you. Everyone all good? All right, now we're going to take this matrix and try to make it look like the third one. 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 1, 8, 1, 1. What's the only difference between these right now? Show me the only difference. Making this 5 into a what? A 1. That's the only difference. So I got to find a rule right now to make the 5 into a 1. How do you make a 5 into a 1? By adding what to it? Negative 4. Can I get a negative 4 anywhere up here? Multiply the first one by? Okay, ready? So take 4 times row 1 and add it to what? Row 2. And then let's fill in the rest of the matrix now. Is that 4?
Where do you multiply the 4 to? What row?
Row 1.
I understand row 1, but that one?
This row 1 right here.
Got it.
And then you add row 2 to it. So ready, Matt?
Yeah.
So for this position right here, I'm going to multiply 1 by 4, gives me 4 plus negative 3. 1. Good?
Why is it 0? Does that not matter?
What do you mean, why is what 0?
If it's 4 times 1 plus 0, isn't that 4? So why is it 0? In the second row, on the bottom row. Second row, bottom column. Yeah, I was not.
Yeah, you know it.
Same wavelength.
I'm right where you are.
Okay.
All right, I got what you're saying. Maybe I read the directions wrong then. Maybe I was supposed to go from this one to this one then. So I see what you're saying. Because now if I multiply this one by 4 and add this one,
Yeah,
it's 4, not 0. No, all right. Then we need another rule. I got you. Now we need a new rule. Good job, Matt. Seriously, good job. I need a new rule now to go from 5 to 1. Maybe I don't want to touch this row. What did you say I needed to add to 5? Negative 4. Was that the only row? I could have also multiplied this row by what? Yeah, I need a negative 4 to add on. So what would I multiply this row by? Negative 4. So negative 4, but now multiply it by row 3. And then now watch what happens. Remember your problem before, Matt? Negative 4 times 0 plus row 2. We're good. Thanks, bud. Everyone see that? The rule worked for just this one, but it would have changed that 0 back into a 4, which I didn't want. But now I don't have to worry about that because the 0 will stay 0. All right, so now where are we here? Negative 4. What's that, 48? Anybody checking 48? 48 plus negative 3? 45. Negative 15 times negative 4. 60 plus negative 18. 42. And what am I doing with row 3? Nothing. I don't have a rule for row 3, so I'm just going to copy it over. Questions? All right, we got one more, and we're going to try to go from scratch here now, from the very beginning. Guys, just so you know, here's where we need to start working our way towards. All right, we're going to start working our way towards next week solving these using a matrix. And the way we do it is we start getting a 1 in the top right-hand corner, zeros in the column. We get a 1 diagonally, zeros everywhere else in the column. Another 1 diagonally, zeros everywhere else in the column. So eventually, it's going to look something like this, with whatever number happens to be here. That's where we want to get down to, using all the rules we can. Get a 1s in the diagonal, zeros everywhere else. Not right away I'm going to have you do that, but we're going to get at least the first column looking like that. So first thing here, write a matrix for me. Go ahead, write that as a matrix. I'm not going to answer that question because I don't want you to get too flustered right now. Here, yes, the answer is yes. We're going to go 4. You're going to have to solve for W, X, Y, Z later on next week. All right? It's going to get crazy. That's why I brought up the frustration piece before. 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, 2, negative 1, 1, 5. I don't know, because I'm getting rattled. Everything look all right now? Okay, I need 1, 0, 0 right now. That's it. That's it. Don't worry about the rest. We'll worry about that sometime next week. But right now I want 1, 0, 0. So you guys need to figure out, what do I need to do to make that 2 into a 0? What do I need to do to make that negative 1 into a 0? So first row is good. First row is good. I got a 1 where I needed it. Good. Anybody want to give me a rule how to make that 2 into a 0? There's a couple ways you could go here. You don't have, there's just not one rule that's the correct one. You could use row 3 or row 1 here. Matt? Whoa, he's going row 3 on everybody. 2 times row 3, and then what do you got to do to it? Add? Okay. Everyone also, I could have multiplied row 1 by negative 2 and added row 2. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so let's fill it in right now. I'm going to get 0. What else am I going to get here? 4 plus negative 1. I'm going to get 4 plus 1. And I'm going to get 2 plus 5. Okay, there's my new row 2. All right, anybody want to come up with a rule to now have 0 in row 3? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
When you're writing it on the test,
Yep.
do you just put the next rule right underneath it, or?
Yeah, you can. Or if you wanted to do, there's a couple ways we could do it, Matt. We could do both rules on one, or I could do another matrix right now and just do row 3. Yes, you can. That's up to you. Okay, that's up to you. All right, I got to replace row 3 now. What do I have to add to it to get that negative 1 into a 0? And this is I think, whose question was it? Declan, I think this comes back to you. You can just do row 1, right? Plus row 3. Because you are multiplying row 1 by a number. So that's okay to add them. All right, so now I get 0. I get what, 3, 1, and -1. And then from here, next week, now you got to turn that into a 1 and the rest into zeros. And we keep building and building. All right? But that's where we're going to keep it for now. Monday, if you're not here, you know what we're doing. We're practicing.